Good morning, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? As we check in on our gold 29.14 and silver 32.73. So we're getting 33 silver. We're close to it, but no cigar. The derivatives start pounding when it hits about 33. So this will be curious. The demand's there, but this is not a normal market. This is a fixed government price fixed market. There's a whole big difference when the government's setting the price than when the market's setting the price, as we know. So we see this is the euro. Why, when you drop it, it goes 20 feet away? So you can see at 2 o'clock in the morning, Europe comes in, and you can see it just derivative till about 5:45. And it goes all the way down to 28.94. And then just about 6 o'clock, it starts going up, and it goes up and it goes up. That's still Europe. 10 o'clock, the US comes in. They do their derivative, but this time it doesn't take effect. It only goes from 29.20 to 29.10. And then it jumps back to 29.14. So it's again the 10 o'clock drop. Now we're at 11.20. You just about there's a little bit of drop you could get at noon. Then usually after that it's pretty good. If there's big news out at 2 o'clock, sometimes it knocks it down. But again, this is all fake. This is all fantasy. This is all derivatives. This is not real. Silver 32.72. We know that the silver demand's up here at $100 an ounce, and it's $32. And by $100 an ounce, what I mean is, if it was $100 an ounce, would people be buying silver? And the answer is yes, because you have to get out of the dollar. Once you've ruined this, there's no other recourse. You must get out of this. And once you realize that, it's either gold or silver. Now, the rich guys go into gold. Most of the population, they can afford a little, but they look at silver at $30, go, I can afford that. So because the price is so cheap, people can get into it. So, but the key is because of this. And this is because of brics, where brics is buying gold and dumping dollars. They call it de-dollarization, but really de-dollarization is strictly, what would you call it? You'd call it, I'm getting out of the dollar because you've inflated it so badly or printed so many dollars it has no value. So why do I want to hold it? It's sort of like the 49ers. They were good. They went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Last year, they weren't very good. You get off the 49ers, right? That's what happens. You get this second, sorry. So you get off the 49ers because they're no good. Hey, Pat. Well, happy birthday to you, Pat. I remember yours is today. Mine's tomorrow. For my birthday, I'm going to get barbecue for lunch, and then I'm going to play poker, only because the 7th is a very lucky day for me. And then I'm taking whatever happens at poker, I will then buy more silver with. So I play 300. So if I get it to 5, I go take 500 and go buy silver. If it goes to 0, I don't buy any silver. But I won't let that happen unless it's just a burn hand. Depending on the cards I'm getting, I might lose $50 and then go buy $250 worth of silver. I might go buy, hopefully I get up 100. I'll walk away because in my mind that's silver. I don't want to lose the money. I want to buy silver with it. which is why I haven't played a lot of poker. It just doesn't make sense to play poker when I can buy gold and silver. Thank you, Pat, and you enjoy yourself. You will win and buy silver. I bought today more. Well, that's it. Isn't that the perfect birthday present? Because nobody knows what to get you. And I always buy gold or silver. I mean, for the last 5 years on my birthday. I was looking at some old receipts from the gold store, and I bought a quarter ounce for $8.22, and in a few months it was $7.22, and then I see one for $5.40. So it just shows you the value of it that you're going to. Anyway, gold's up to 29.16. So the first part of this is the key to gold, right? Why are we buying gold? And I know I talk about it a lot, but the real reason is because you can't inflate it. It's wealth. You're out of the government. You can't be inflated. So I bring you these examples, the attack on Wall Street guy, where if he would have bought gold, he would have turned his 60,000 into 110,000. Because gold, if you would have bought it at, let's say, 2006, was a couple hundred an ounce. At 2011, it was like 800 an ounce or something like that. He'd have made a little bit of money on it had he bought gold instead of the real estate trust. Now so part of the problem is you're avoiding risk. Why do I buy gold? I'm getting out of risk. I'm getting out of getting screwed by the real estate trust. I'm getting out of my stock drops 100 points. I'm in Tesla, and now Tesla's in big trouble because they can't sell cars, which we knew. I told you that a long time ago. There's no demand for electric cars. You got your money in the bank, you can't get it out. The money loses value. Nothing good happens with the money, with the Titanic. You're either going to lose money in the stock market. You're going to lose money in real estate trust because people can't afford it. You're going to lose money in just the fact that the money's losing value. So there's many reasons to get out of the dollar. Right? I got an email today from my apartment complex, and it said something about renewal, and I thought, oh, here I'm going to get my renewal notice. I'm curious what my rent's going to next year. Hopefully it won't go up at all, but if it does, hopefully it won't be a lot. I think last year went up $5, $10, and it was not about that. It was about if you've had more than one or two instances where you haven't paid your rent, and we had to, give you notice. Hey, you owe us rent, and if that's the case, you won't be able to renew. So you can see what's happening. People are losing their jobs. The inflation's catching up, and see. But the first thing I do is pay my rent. I need a place to live. That's first. If I miss anything, I'll just make minimum payments on my credit cards before I miss my rent. So as long as I'm getting Social Security, that covers rent. That's it. And so that's what it is. But you've got to understand the concept of the dollar is not backed by anything. It's worthless, and it gets printed to nothing. And they keep printing it because they got to pay the interest on the debt. So let's go back. Why do I buy gold? Because I can't hold dollars. Why can't I hold dollars? Because they keep printing the dollars and the dollar value goes down. Well, why does the dollar value go down? Because they keep printing it because the way the government works is they spend in dollars and they spend it out. And that's the problem. So they have to spend for Social Security. They have to spend for defense and military. They have to spend for the interest on the debt. And it's more than they get money in. And as they keep with this inflation that they're on, as that keeps happening, the value of the dollar drops. So if you hold it, you're losing value. As the economy goes down, you're losing your job. So, the money in your bank goes down. Your stocks are getting hit. But it's all fantasy land. The stock values are not real. The Apple and the Amazon, I see they're starting to come down. Their values aren't real. So, good blackberries this time. I had some blackberries the last time. They were terrible. Or strawberries. Sometimes you get strawberries. They're terrible. Anyway, so you keep watching that. And you realize that, well, I can't stay in dollars. And I can't stay in dollar assets like stocks, like real estate trust, like money in the bank, annuities, anything that pays me in money. I can't stay in it because it's losing value. And so, as I was saying, it's like, well, let's see, I bet the 49ers 2 years ago, and that was good. Last year, they got too many injuries. They weren't good. So I don't bet on them anymore. And that was my point with the dollar. The dollar was good, but it's not good anymore. So I got to get out of I got to change teams to get out of the dollar. So in a football analogy, I can still bet on KC. And now I can start betting San Diego and Denver. And I can bet on Buffalo. But I can't bet on Jacksonville. And I can't bet on Tennessee or Indy or the real shit teams, the Bears. So I learned to get off of those teams and get onto another team. And that's simply what you're doing if we switch from football to the dollar. I got to get out of the dollar like I got to get off San Francisco. They're not winning anymore. I'm losing money holding the dollar. That is the key that's the initial boat hitting the iceberg, is the dollar getting printed because it's not backed by anything. And so therefore you're screwed. Dollar's not backed. You have no value. And people are jumping off the dollar like I'm not going to bet on the 49ers anymore. And that's what you have. So you're looking at that and you're start analyzing it. Well, why? Well, because they print it and it's not backed by anything. And if you keep printing something, it loses value. It's not the MMT Keynesians who say, oh, you can just keep printing money. You can't go broke. You can just keep printing. No, you can't, because you kill the value of the dollar. And the problem is a lot of people are listening to these idiots. Oh, you can't go broke if you keep printing. Well, what are you, an idiot? What are you talking about? Yeah, you will go broke. So you've got to get out of the dollar because it's losing. You're going to lose value. Your 100 grand in the bank is now worth 90 or 80. I show you the grocery cart where it would buy you. You would $20 at the grocery cart in the late 70s, early 80s. You'd fill the cart. $20 now, you got 5 items in it. Well, why is that? Did the price of the items go up that much? No, the value of the dollar shrank. So look at the dollar as a losing football team, and you don't want to bet on them. But then you got Philadelphia over here who's covering, or Washington who's covering. They're the new kids to bet on. They're the new teams to bet on. And that's all you're doing with the dollar because of the injuries, and they overprint and overprint and overprint. I can't bet on them anymore. I don't want to hold it anymore. So what do? I get out of it. How do you do that, Howard? You go find a lifeboat. And why gold is because they can't print it anymore. It's highly in demand. Then we see BRICS, they're all buying it. Every country in BRICS are buying gold because they're going to trade in gold. They're getting off the dollar bullshit where if I'm China and I want to buy from India, I have to buy dollars to then buy Indian. So the way the scam is set up, and it sounds like it was set up by Madoff, but I don't know who it was set up by. If you can't buy China yuan and go buy renminbi in India, you can't do it, or vice versa. You have to take your China yuan and buy dollars, and then dollars are the only thing you can buy these other currencies in. So in reality, I can buy them with dollars. I can't buy them with yuan. Who the hell agreed to that system? It's bullshit. It's ridiculous. So we're getting off of that system, which again floods the market with dollars because nobody needs them anymore. So they all come back. They're still printed. They just, they take the dollar and they buy renminbi, and then the dollars go back to the U.S. because they're U.S. dollars, which again is adding to the value of the dollar dropping. That's more inflation. And so BRICS is going to have a gold-backed currency. So I'm taking my BRICS gold-backed currency, China, to buy stuff from India and vice versa with the gold-backed currency. And so if you want to join BRICS, and we got 20 countries there now on its way to 50, on its way to 100, you need gold. So you have your own gold-backed currency so you can trade with us. Okay. So that's why another reason all the central banks are buying gold, which makes demand for gold very strong. And then the price is trapped in comex, where comex is running paper, and they're flooding the market with paper, gold, and silver derivative contracts. But the other party is saying, I'll buy your contract, but I want to get paid. I want to get gold, physical gold for the contract. And there's just a very limited amount of gold. There's only 200,000 tons of gold in the world. So it's a very limited commodity that there's a huge demand for, especially now with BRICS. And then you got all the BRICS countries blowing up comex saying, I want delivery. And there is no gold to deliver. And this is the problem. That's why the U.S. has been buying gold, because they need to settle these derivatives, because with Basel III and the Tier 1 status, and Basel III says you got to pay in a day. We're not paying. They're paying in months. Now there's a July 1st date that they have to settle all their derivatives by July 1st. How are they going to do that? There's not enough gold to go around. So COMEX should be blowing up soon in gold and then in silver, where they're holding the price down by flooding the market with paper, gold, and silver. Well, paper, gold, and silver is not physical gold and silver. It's a big difference. That would be like a Montana card. Well, I can give you a paper Montana card. No, I want the physical Montana card. I want to hold the card. I don't want to. I got an IOU. I will give you the Montana card. Yeah, but it ain't never coming because there's not that many Montana PSA 10 mint condition cards out there that you're going to get. Let's say there's 100 of them. That's why the price is 100,000. Let's say there's 100 PSA 10s, and that then creates. I'll give you an IOU. Where are you going to get it? There's only, if you flood the market with digital or fake paper Montana cards, and it gets to 1,000, there isn't even 1,000 Montana PSA 10s I can deliver to you. Oh, well, how am I gonna get paid? And that's what they're doing now. Where are they going to get the gold from? There's not gold out there. It's all in China and Russia right now. China, 80,000 tons, which includes the citizens' 20, 30,000 tons. Russia's at least 25,000 tons in Putin's swimming pool, and he's got a gold train and all this stuff. So, Putin is a smart man. He understands gold. So this is where it all lies. Why gold? Well, it's limited and it's highly demanded. And as we know from economics, things that are very limited in supply and very highly demanded has a high price. And right now the price is down here, but right now the demand's here because of all the reasons I gave you. And to get out of the dollar, you have to find a lifeboat, and the only lifeboat you can find is gold and silver. There is nothing else you could get into. Oil, well, oil's not. What are you going to put a can of WD-40 in your pocket? You can't. It's not gold. It's not. You can't go to a restaurant with a can of oil. It's not acceptable as money. Gold and silver is. Julius Caesar used gold. He didn't use oil. So this is the problems, right? Why not something else besides gold and silver? Why not Rolexes? Why not Montana cards? And that's the thing. I can never take this to a restaurant. Now, if I got this card graded and it came back PSA 10 and it shows a value of 110,000 or 100,000, could I go buy a car with it? I doubt it. I talked to my Toyota buddy when I get my oil changed, and I says, well, you're going to start taking gold for the car. He says, well, I think I'd want the money for it. And I go, no, you won't want the money because the money won't be worth anything, but the gold will. Eventually, you'll take the gold for the car because that's real money, and the dollar you're getting is bullshit. They're not there yet. They can't figure that out. I had to talk him out of Bitcoin. He's finally out of Bitcoin. Why not go buy Bitcoin? Get out of the dollar to buy Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin, I saw, went from 81,000 to 89,000. Well, what's the value of Bitcoin? I don't know. Is it 81,000? So imagine you sold something for 81,000 and now it's 89,000. You'd be a little bit pissed. You're going, shit, I could have got more. I could have got 89. But let's say you paid 106 for it and then it went down to 81. Well, now what do you do with the Bitcoin? Oh shit, I just lost 25,000 because I took Bitcoin. Where is it today? I mean, it's too volatile because it's all price fixed by Larry Fink and this other guy and the Russian mafia. They just price fix it. So but it's digital. It's not real. I can't hold it in my hand. I don't know what it is. I can't use it at restaurants or grocery stores. Now, I can't use the Montana at restaurant, but this is at least physical in my hand, where the Bitcoin's not, and the Bitcoin has to be taken. So I can't look at Bitcoin as money, and just like I can't look at this as money. Again, money has to be accepted. Do people accept money? And I'm going to go to the boneyard tomorrow to the barbecue and get my chicken and ribs. And I'm going to the casino and play poker. I can use this for that. I know it's not worth anything, but they don't. They still think it's worth something. So they charge me $20 for ribs and chicken, and I'll pay with this, even though this isn't worth anything. I know that, and they don't. So you're trying to get out of your dollars, and that's why I still buy gold and silver with them, because it gives me, I get rid of my worthless dollars to get something that's real, which is gold and silver. Gold and silver is real. It's limited. It's physical. You hold it. And it can't really go down in price because what would drive down in price is if there's more supply, but you can't get more supply of gold. You can dig a little out of the ground, but that's it. It's not like a ton out of the ground. It's not like 1 million ounces out of the ground. There's 200,000 tons. A ton's 32,000 ounces. So even if you found 500, found 1 million ounces, it's only what, 10 tons. Big deal. That'll get eaten up very quickly because BRICS need gold. The U.S. needs gold to pay off the derivatives and silver. And those are considered money in the Constitution. So I really want to buy money. So my first choice is to buy gold and silver because it'll keep its value because you can't print it. And it's going to blow up comex. So we know the real price. I would pay $10,000 for an ounce of gold. It's at $29.20 right now. So if it went to $5,000, I'm still going to buy it. At $7,500, I'm still going to buy it. At $10,000, I might not buy an ounce, but I'll buy a quarter ounce for $2,500. And I've been buying those for $600, $700. But that's why I've been buying them, because it's right now the job is to grow inventory. That's what you're trying to do, is grow inventory. So that's the whole point of it. You're trying to grow inventory, and that's why you'll take a tenth of an ounce, a quarter of an ounce. I might buy a tenth. If they have a tenth of an ounce for 300, I might buy that instead of 10 ounces of silver tomorrow. This we'll see. Anyway, that's the point. So we understand the dollar is going out. We understand it's because of BRICS, which is creating the demand because they realize that the dollar is going out. They get it. We don't. Why don't we get it? Because we got a bunch of Keynesians like Jim Rickards and people, this George Soros guy and the Biden guy who don't understand it. It's not easy to understand unless you've been taught it. I got taught it. I got lucky. I'm teaching you. You got lucky. Most people don't have a clue that you can print the dollar to nothing. Well, what happened in Nazi Germany, or in Germany in the 20s? Well, they had hyperinflation. Oh yeah, they must have raised the prices pretty big, didn't they? No, they printed trillions of Reichsmarks till they had no value. Now you can say, well, why didn't they print the Reichsmark? They did. Billions of them, trillions of them. And it ended up being worthless. They wallpapered their wall with Reichsmarks because they had no value. Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Greece, goes on and on and on. But nobody can put two and two together to really understand what the hell is going on. So the first step is realizing that you can ruin the dollar. Nobody wants to admit it. Well, we have the petrodollar. We're the reserve currency, so everything's fine. Well, no, that it still can be printed to death, and that's what you're doing, so everything's not fine. And that's really what you've got to understand and realize. So now what do you do? Right? That's why gold. Gold can't be printed. It's got to be mined. And most of the mining has already been done, and 200,000 tons, and that's what's out there, maybe 210,000 tons. And it's all bought. China, because it's worldwide. China, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, all these countries, Dubai, they're all very into gold. They get it. So there's no more gold left. I mean, China's got 60,000 tons. Their citizens got 20 at least, probably more. Like I said, in Russia's maybe 20, 25,000, but it might be 30 by now. Putin's not stupid. So he goes and they mine gold in Russia. So you don't know how much they have. It's at least 25,000 tons. Anyway, there's just only, let's say, 210,000 tons, and it's gone. So how does the U.S. get out of their watered down derivative market, the flooded market of paper gold? Yeah, it's easy. I can sell you gold, but I can't sell you physical gold. I can sell you paper. That's what it is. So you're selling. I can give you paper gold. Well, what is that? That's like giving you, I'll give you a paper $100 bill, but it won't really be a $100 bill. So like here, well, I won't give you this dollar. Well, let me use the euro. Well, I won't give you this 5, but I'll give you something that says you can have €5. But I'm not going to give you this. I'm going to give you something that says you can have it. It's insanity because it doesn't make sense. Why would anybody accept it? That's what these treasuries are. We run out of money, so we print up treasuries and we sell them to China and Japan and Russia and Germany and the UK and France and Italy. They're all buying our treasuries. Why? Oh, well, we'll pay you. Let's say we sell a 2-year treasury. All right, you buy our treasuries because we need money to pay for our military, and we don't have any because we're getting in $100 and we're spending 200. I'm just simplifying, right? We're spending 200, so we have a deficit, and now that created this $37 trillion debt that we'll never get out of. And so, why don't we get in $100 and spend $100? Well, because we owe Social Security, we owe Medicare, we owe pensions, we owe military, and we owe the interest on the debt. So at least we're going to spend 200, but we can't get in 200. All we can do is sell the bonds, which will get us the other 100. That's how we get the second 200. But nobody wants the bonds anymore because they're not worth anything. How are we going to pay them off? So so now it's 2 years later, and here's China going, okay, I have $1 million in treasuries. I'd like my money. Oh, well, sorry, I can't give it to you. Why don't you roll them over for 2 more years? Well, no, I want the money. I want to buy gold. Well, sorry, we don't have the money. So how is your credit going to be after that? Or I hear, well, what if we just default on the 37 trillion? You know what your credit rating will be? 0. I still spend 200 and I get 100 in. How am I going to get the extra 100? Where's that going to come from? Because now I have no credit. Nobody will buy my treasuries. How do I get the other 100? Do I cut out Social Security and Medicare? It'll be a riot. Do I defense? It'll be a riot. I got to pay the interest on the debt. So this is the hole you're in. So they got to keep printing the dollars, which again, keep them at 0 value. And the thing about gold is not only is it the most desirable, you can't print it. You can't print gold. So gold never loses its value. So I want to bet on gold and get out of the dollar. The dollar can only go down. The stocks can only go down because they're lifting them up with these, they're printing dollars to put in the stock market. But as the world realizes this, and as the world does the same thing we're doing with their dollars, and they're ruining the dollars, like Germany has a pension to pay, and they have their military and their interest on their debt. They are all heavily debted countries. So they're all running into the same problem. So as the people need money, what do? They sell their stocks in the U.S. They take their money out of the bank that's in the U.S. because they need money. And then what do? Well, I got to buy gold and silver with it. I got to get out of the 49ers and get over to Philadelphia, right? I want to bet on Philly. I don't want to bet on the Niners. I want to get out of the dollar and get into gold and silver, or the yen or the won or the euro, whatever my currency is. I need money. And the only money is gold and silver. Yes, I could get a Montana card, but I can't eat them. I can't eat with it. I can with gold and silver. That's why the gold and silver is the key to everything. Now, if you just look at it from a normal standpoint, you have the dollar going down. It can't go up. You've printed too much, and you got to print more, and you got to pay the debt and the military and the Social Security. You've got too much that you got to pay. Means you keep printing. even though it doesn't have a value, it kind of, people haven't registered that yet. So you're in something that's going down and can never go up because you got to keep printing, right? And it's already worth nothing. Egon says it's lost 99% of its value. I say 100. It's gone. So I either keep my money in money or stocks or real estate trust, or keep my money in the bank in an annuity getting 9% of nothing, watching it all go down, or I get out and I look what's going up. And there's only one, is gold and silver. Bitcoin goes up, goes down, we're not sure of, it's not real. And we see it go up to 90, down to 80. So we're not really sure what Bitcoin is. It's not real though, it's digital, which means I can't hold it in my hand and I can't use a debit or credit card with it. And I don't know what the value is. I know this is 100,000 if it's a PSA 10. So if this is graded 10, I know it's 100,000. And it'll probably go up because the dollar's worth less. It'll take more dollars to buy it. But once I have it, then I have it. So that's really what you're looking at, is what else can I get into? I can't stay in dollars. Nobody understands this or admits to it, or you got the Keynesian MMT people going, oh, it's fine, we'll just keep printing it. They don't even understand the concept of it has no value. No, we'll just keep printing and keep printing and keep printing, and that's fine as we go bankrupt. But that's not the answer, the printing. So what would you logically do? Something going down or something going up? What would you rather be in? You want to be in something going up. And since comex is price fixed, pushing the price down, flooding the market with paper, not physical, but realizing all the BRICS countries are buying gold and silver, will force the price up. So you can be in gold and watch the price go up because there's not enough and there's too much demand. The U.S. has to pay off these derivatives by July 1st. Where are they going to get the gold? Because they have to. The people are asking for delivery of the gold. They don't want to get more paper. They want physical gold. So when you do your derivative, the other side's going, I'll buy it, but I need physical, not paper. So you owe physical to this. So you can ignore it, but I don't think you can keep ignoring it. There's a point where Russia and China say, I want my gold. I want my physical because I bought the derivatives. And that's really the key. So that's really the demand for gold is there. So price has to go up, just like the Super Bowl. You sell the first 70,000 tickets, but the demand's 140,000. Now the secondary market, I want to buy it. Well, there's no more at the box office at 1,500. So now the person that paid 1,500 says, well, I'll give it to you, but I'll charge you $4,000. And you go, yeah, I got to go. I'm going to give you $4,000 or $5,000. It's the 50-yard line. It's 10 grand. Oh, okay. Because I want the demand's there. So the demand for gold's there, but it's all gone. All the gold's, the first tier of gold, the 200,000 tons are gone. It's already in the banks and we got a little of it. And then, but I need it. So the U.S. knocks on China's door and says, I hear you got all this gold. I need so many tons to pay off these derivatives. And they'll go, oh, sure, you can have it. I'm going to need $5,000 an ounce for the gold because I've been paying $3,000 an ounce. I'm not going to take a loss on it because I know how valuable it is and how limited it is. And it's the same thing with us. I'm not selling my gold at $3,000 an ounce because I know it's worth a lot more. So, so I like how they play it where all of a sudden it drops and people panic and sell. Oh, it's going to go back down to zero. Well, that's never going to happen. But, they see the price dropping and they get scared. Well, what did you do with Bitcoin when it went down to 81,000? What did you do with the stock market when it lost $1,000, went from 44 to 42,000? What did you do then? right? You got scared, and you're hoping it's being bought. Well, with gold, we know it's going to be bought because everybody in brics has to. So right now, brics is your best friend because brics is strong demand for gold, and all these new countries getting on are not only getting out of dollars, but they're getting into gold, which lowers the value of the dollar and raises the value of gold. So it's playing right into we're playing right into the hands of what's going on with brics. Oh my God, I gotta take Daria's. Just a second. So I haven't heard from Daria in a few days. I'll get back to our discussion in a second. And she says to me, like, she's really worried and scared about the operation. So she's got a little thing in her, I guess a cavity or part of a tooth chipped up, went up through her gum into her cheek somehow. She had an infection, it went away. Now she went to the doctor. She needs an operation to pull it out, which is probably a very minor thing. And she's just very scared about it. And um, anyway, so very happy to hear from my Daria. So anyway, she's been scared about the operation itself, but it's a minor operation. But she was scared to go to the dentist to get an implant. She said, "Oh, I'm so scared to go." So she must have had incidences where it was really painful for her when she was younger. So but she gets depressed and cuts everything off. So she doesn't read my text. She doesn't communicate. She's just really depressed. And I'm like, how do I help? I can't help you if you don't talk to me. So I said, what can I do? I'll help you. It'll be fine. How much can it hurt? And you need it done. You get it done. It's seems like very, very minor surgery. Put a little hole or something and suck it out, or go through the gum and pull it out like a dentist would do. So I mean, like, I'm like, don't overreact so much that you're more worried about the operation than the actual operation itself. So anyway, but I agree. If somebody was going to do surgery on my eyes, I'd be freaking out also. This is her cheek, but I mean that's the one fear I have. So anyway, so she just texted me finally, since this first time since Sunday. Um, I just want to make sure she's okay. Anyway, she knows my birthday's tomorrow, so that'll be good. Anyway, so back to this. Sorry for that, but that's very important to me. So you the keys to economics is supply and demand, which means can you here's an avocado. Is there a market for avocado? What does that mean? If I want to sell an avocado, will somebody buy it? That's the whole key to economics. Is there a market? In other words, if I sell it, will somebody buy it? And if it's yes, then fine. And if it's no, then I got to get out. Like Tesla, they try to sell electric cars. There's no buyers for it. There's no market for it. The guy never should have done it. That's why I question Elon Musk. He's got to be the stupidest guy I've ever seen. He's rich. It's all phony. He's not really rich. It's his stock so valuable because everybody's in the Tesla for some reason. I think it's mostly the government, but he's really an idiot. He made a product there was no market for. There's no demand for an electric car. Nobody wants it. I can't drive for drive and worry about where's the charging station and what if the power cuts off? What if it's too hot or too cold and the battery doesn't work? I can't get out. I'm trapped in the car. What if it catches on fire? And I'm perfectly fine with my gas powered car. There's gas stations all over the place. I can easily fill up. Why do I need an electric car? It's not a need. It's a stupid thing. You're trying to create a market. You're trying to make a product that creates a market. But the market says, no, we don't need it. We got a car. We got gas powered. Why do we need electric? So that's what you have with the dollar. You created a need that people need the dollar to buy oil, or people need the dollar to exchange currency from Swiss to British, or from Russia to China, or China to India. You needed the dollar for it. So they forced this market that nobody wants. And they're all saying, fuck you, I don't want it. And then here's a market for gold. Does anybody want gold? And everybody's like, yeah, I want gold because you can't print it. You can't inflate it. It can't lose its value. So what's been happening is a Madoff with Comex. Comex is dumping the money with pure gold, which it's not even real. It's not gold. If you got a derivative, you can't do anything with it. So they've been keeping the price. Now they've been price fixing it. Gold and silver. There's no free market for it. There's nobody selling and there's no buyer. It's just JP Morgan doing derivatives, going, I'm going to do this derivative and I want to price fix it. I want to lower the price. And then, the price got real low. I'm going to do a derivative to go up because now I can make money on the price going up. But there's no gold involved with it. There's no physical gold. It's just derivative, which are options. I am pushing the price of gold down without real gold and no market. Nobody's selling the gold. When the gold goes down, there's nobody selling the gold. Just a second. All right, sorry. When I get with Daria, I got to talk to her again. She's in Russia, so it's 8 o'clock at night. So I know she's going to bed soon, and she's been so depressed with this thing. Um, and I told her it's probably minor surgery. It's just go in, get it out. It's like she's like it's an operation. She's so worried. So I'm trying to psychologically say, no, it's just minor. Like, don't worry about it. You're not getting your kidney removed. It's just minor surgery. So anyway, um, so with the paper derivatives, they've got to blow up. And as I said, I would gladly pay $100 for an ounce of silver to get out of this. And again, it's all paper, the derivatives, right? But they've got to start. It's got to start blowing up because Comex is simply made to price fix. It's not made to have inventory. So as people start taking the delivery, which I don't even know why that option is there, as they start taking the delivery, she said the doctor said it's a simple operation. I said, yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you. You're so nervous about it's an operation when it's just a simple pull it out and you're so stressed about it that it's crazy. Hey, Prophet, how are you today? Say good, happy birthday to Pat, and then it's my birthday tomorrow. So you got to say that tomorrow. So anyway, as we understand, COMEX is the price mechanism for gold and silver. Now, if we know the dollar's going out, which we do, and we know it has no value now, which we know, then sorry, it's been 5 days since I heard. And that's so right now the game's getting out of the dollar, right? I guess Daria talked to the doctor and he said it's a simple operation. I said, now you can relax. He says, yes, a little bit. So anyway, Pat's our Singapore reporter and Profits in Canada, and then I'm here. So if you understand that the dollar has no value because it's been printed and the value that is created is by COMEX and these derivatives, and JP Morgan is there to keep the price down so people can buy China, Russia can buy gold cheap. That's why they do it. It's to keep the price down so people can buy it. But again, as the Super Bowl, as all of the gold is pretty much gone, right? There's nothing left on COMEX. Or they then have to buy the gold at a higher price, like the Super Bowl, right? So the tickets are $1,500 and everybody buys them, but more people want. So they go to 4,500. Well, that's what's going to happen with gold. It's all bought. The 200,000 tons are gone. Even what you got profit doesn't matter. It's still included in the price. My ounces are included in the total. This is how much has been dug out. Where they get that from, I don't know, but they've come to the conclusion about 205,000 tons have come out of the earth. Right. So with that said, so even with China finding 60,000 tons, it's really not how many, 60,000 ounces is not a lot of tons. It's 32,000 ounces to a ton. They found 2 tons of gold. That's nothing. So now it goes to 214. They normally count 3,000 tons coming out of the ground every year anyway. So that's very minor. So anyway, since we know how the price mechanism is set, not in a free market, not for me selling to Pat and Pat buys it, and now that's our price, as we would do with the Montana card. I'm going to sell it for 100 grand. It's a PSA 10, we'll say, and Pat buys it for 110. That's the price. That's the value. I sold it, he bought it. But that's not what we have with gold. Nobody's, even when you go to the store, and Pat does it in Hong Kong and Profit in Canada and me here. When I go to the store, I'm paying derivative prices for it. It's not free market price. I can go and it's 2,900 plus 100. It's going to cost me 3,000 for an ounce of gold. But the 2,900 is a bullshit price. This is the point you got to understand. It's the comex price. They're using the comex price, which makes no sense. It's the price fixed. We don't know what the market is. We don't know what this is, but we know what comex is. So we know that this price has got to be 5 to 10 times higher than this, because you can see they do the derivatives to knock the price down, to knock the price down, to knock the price down. And so that's what you have. And so you have that going, then that's the whole point. So this is going down. And everything's, you go on eBay, you go to the stores and they're selling it at this price. We're willing to go up here. So it really is, we know the price is much, much higher. So we keep buying it, but we're going to buy it anyway, because we got to get out of the dollar. And again, why gold and silver? What else are you going to buy? The Montana card's nice, but it's an asset, but it's not money like gold and silver are. The Rolex watch is nice, but it's an asset. It's not going to lose value. But again, it's priced in dollars. Gold can be priced in gold and silver. The Rolex can't, the Montana can't. And that's the difference. But the dollar, nobody wants. And if nobody wants the product, like the electric car, it's worthless. So Elon Musk sits there and tries to sell something that nobody wants, and he's going to end up bankrupt. That may be why he's working for the government to get paid on that job, because he knows his company's going broke. Then he does SpaceX. Oh, there's a lot of demand. Everybody wants to take a ride in a spaceship. Or maybe he's selling satellites. Well, there's a lot of satellites out there, so I don't know what he's doing with that. But why is everybody so in awe? Oh, it's Elon Musk. Well, he's an idiot. He's not smart. Warren Buffett's an idiot. He's not smart. He doesn't understand gold and silver. He doesn't understand supply and demand. He doesn't understand a limited supply of gold. The price is being price fixed by COMEX. Well, you dig it out of the ground and you put it in a safe. Big deal. Well, okay, what do you do, Buffett? Do you have a Picasso hanging on your wall? Do you have a Montana rookie card? Do you have a Rolex? What assets do you have, and what are you doing with those assets? I got a Van Gogh on the wall. Granted, it's not real. It's a poster, but it's a Van Gogh. What do you do with your money, Buffet? You just leave it in the bank? Well, how is that different than what you're doing with your gold then? So I'm assuming you're taking your money and buying some assets with it. So they either sit on the wall, or the money's in the bank, or you got a baseball card that you probably have in a safe. So what's the difference between that and gold? Except for gold's going to go up because of demand. So we're finally at the point where the Titanic's sinking, where this is sinking, and we're finally at the point where brics comes in, blows up COMEX, makes the price of gold go to the moon, go to its real price, which is somewhere up here. and that. So I'm looking at my receipts last night for quarter ounce gold. I pull out a few receipts, whatever it happened to have, and there's 750 for a quarter ounce gold, 550 for a quarter ounce gold, 450 for a quarter ounce gold. Price keeps going up. Right? The older ones it showed you. So we're finally getting the demand. We're finally breaking COMEX. We're finally watching gold finally go up. It can't go down. It goes down a little with the price fixing, but but you can see the price fixing is being blown up. And as it's being blown up, price has to go up because we have demand and we have a very low supply. And the best reason is we have to get out of this because you can't print it to death. This is sinking. This is the Titanic, 99% in the water. So you got to get off the boat, right? And you're looking for a lifeboat. You don't have a choice. This is already on its way out. Sorry, MMT Rickard Sky. It can't keep value when you print as much as you have, and you have more with the debt and the military and Social Security. It's more than you're taking in. You got to print more, and then nobody wants your treasuries. So where are you going to get the money from? You just keep printing it, which makes it worth nothing. So the value of this can never get better because you've printed 160 trillion of it, and there's no more petrodollars, so nobody needs it. And the FX people are going into gold-backed currency as opposed to taking China yuan and buying Indian rupees, and then they can buy Indian stuff. So as that all goes, the dollar can't go up. It's already getting killed. Gold can't go down because the demand's too high. You can't really print it, and that's what's happening. So that's why gold, and that's why silver. Silver at $30 an ounce is a joke, and yet the coin stores keep selling it $2 over. So if let's see, what do we got? We've got gold 1920 or 2920 headed up again, and silver 3272. So with silver at 3272, that's what they'll sell it to me. I can buy it for 3472 tomorrow. Would I pay $100 for it? Yes, because the reason I'm buying it is because I'm getting out of this. So this is right. The boat hit the iceberg. It's going to sink. I got to get on the lifeboat. This has hit the iceberg, so I have to get out of this first and foremost. And then it's just, what do I get into? Now, I've been buying a lot of gold, but silver's so deep that I'll start buying silver and forget the ratio. The ratio is meaningless. 5-1, 10-1, 20-1. It doesn't matter. It's price fixed. So this isn't a real price of silver, and it's not a real price of gold. So what are you dicking around trying to? Well, it's 90-1. It's got to go to 10-1. That's all bullshit. The market will control what it is, and as far as I'm concerned, it could go. If there's more silver than gold, it could get very, very close. So if gold hits 10,000, silver could easily go to 9, because, well, I can't afford. I'm getting out of this. I can't afford. The gold's really expensive. Oh, but silver's real money. Also, I'll start buying silver as real money. And that's really the whole point of it, is what's happening. And, that's the key to it. So you have to buy either gold or you have to get out of the dollar, which puts you in gold or silver. So it's at $32 an ounce, but the store doesn't understand it. And what are they pricing it at? At this COMEX, ridiculously low, watered down paper silver price. That's what they choose to use to price it in the market. And you're looking at these guys like, how dumb are you? We know silver is $500 an ounce. I'm not selling it before I get $500 an ounce. And, you just, you kind of laugh at these stores like, oh, thank you. You're 34. we realize the price is here, right? And comex is here. So we will gladly pay $100 an ounce because we have to get out of this. So it's not even how much will you pay. You'll pay that. So as I'm looking at my receipts and I see I paid 300 for a quarter ounce of gold, and 4 and 5 and 7 and 8. I just paid 822 a couple of weeks ago. So as you see that happening, you then realize the mistake they're making, and they don't catch on that the dollar's worthless and that the silver's price fixed. But their problem is, well, I can't sell it at 100 because you'll just buy it on eBay or another store, because the whole silver selling market of stores is clueless, and they're all selling it at comex as if comex is a real price. And this is what, if you're smart and you catch on and you realize what's going on, that's why you just buy as much silver as you can. Because at some point, it's going to get here, right? It's 32, and here's what we're willing to pay for it. 100, 200, maybe it's 500. As gold goes up, so will the price of silver, because gold will be too expensive and silver will be cheaper, and you'll buy silver because you'll realize it's basically a very similar thing. It's still an asset, it's still money, and I got to get out of the dollar so I can afford more silver than gold, which is the game we're playing. It's a no-brainer. It's, in my terms, a lock. You can't lose with it. And you really shouldn't get frustrated, Luke, about the price only at 30, 31, 32. We know where it's headed, and that's what you really got to look at. So keep that in mind. What else? So we talked brics. Brics is the buyers creating demand for the gold and the silver. So we're safe because they're going to keep buying, because they're going to go to a gold-backed currency, because nobody wants rubles or yuan. Nobody wants Brazil dollar. Nobody wants Indian dollars. They're all heavily inflated. The only thing they're going to trust is gold. And this is a trading thing. China wants to trade with Russia, and they want to trade with Brazil, and they want to trade with India. They all need something, and that's what it is. You want free trade. What Trump is doing with tariffs is insanity. Clearly, whoever is advising him should be fired. Clearly, they don't know what they're doing. He wants to substitute income tax with tariffs. I know in the beginning, when we became a country in the late 1700s, early 1800s, it was mostly business as usual. The South was selling cotton to the English for clothes. That's how everybody survived. The government didn't do much, and there was no reason for income tax. As it came in a little later, in the early 1800s, you then did have very small tariffs. So they wanted tariffs for the cotton, or, if the British sold us tea or whatever, or we had tea, whatever we had, whatever our products are, you had very small, tiny tariffs on it. And that's what they used for the government. The government was small. They didn't want a large government, because this is what happens. So it was much more state-run. Income tax didn't come in until 1914 when the Fed came in, which was a huge mistake. The Fed's a disaster, but yet every country has a Fed or a central bank, and they're all going bankrupt together. It's just amazing. And you say to yourself, how can all the countries be this stupid? And really, it's just George Soros and Keynes and all that stuff. That's what it is. It's just incredibly insane. It's like, why are we using year over year for inflation? Yet that's not the true measure of inflation. It starts in 71, it's 2025, it's 50 years of inflation, right? So the Pepsi cost 10 cents, cost you $3. The McDonald's was 50 cents. In the 80s, 50 cents for a Big Mac is now $6. That's how you measure inflation. But you can't really measure it with prices. It's you printed, you went from $500 billion printed to $170 trillion being printed. How can the value of the dollar not have gone down? You've got too much of it. Milton Friedman says, well, it's too much money chasing too few goods. I don't really buy that. It's just you're killing the value of the dollar. What do you mean chasing too few goods? How do you differentiate goods? If I buy a stock, is that a good? If I buy a mutual fund, is that a good? If I buy gold, is that a good? So I don't know what you mean by goods versus services. And what do you mean by too much money chasing too few goods? What does that mean? Inflation is you printed more money let's just say you've printed more money that's needed. Well, what is needed? You have no idea. You can't define that. All you know is you printed a whole shitload of money and the money has no value because the money never had value because the money is not backed by gold. Basically, in 1971, you printed paper. So I disagree with Milton Friedman on this. This is what I printed. It's backed by nothing. It's automatically not only worthless, but it's already inflation. So if you printed $100 or $170 trillion, it's not backed by anything. It's just paper. It's like saying toilet paper. Well, you printed more toilet paper than people need. What is that? So really, that is our problem. And inflation is money printed, which we know. We know there's a ton out for the petrodollar and the FX exchange rates where you need to buy dollars. So the fact, well, people use it out. Well, they have to. But you can't be stupid that brics is buying all the gold, that it's not going to the gold. It might not be happening today, but it's happening soon. And we already see all the massive buying from brics is killing the derivative market, which it should, because that's flooding with paper and it's already worth much more. And that's really what's happening. So because the derivatives are keeping the price down, the gold stores are selling it at this very cheap price. And then we, being of sound mind and body, are going, shit, let's go buy it at this price is cheap. So we would spend $100 on silver. Hell, I'm spending $3,000 on gold. Why wouldn't I spend $100 on silver? Because the reason I'm doing it is I got to get out of the dollars, and I know the prices when they hit the real free market. I'm selling this for 100 grand, and Pat buys it. That's the free market. But if I can't sell my silver like that because everybody's going to look at the comex price and say, no, I'm going to give you $35 for it, even though it's worth $500. And so that's what we're waiting for. And we'll be fine as it goes. We'll have real money. I don't know what they're doing. My guess is they'll come out with USD number 2. They'll try some digital crap that is still worthless. Whatever they come out with, if it isn't backed by gold, it's worthless. Digital, crypto, USD number 2, it's all worthless if it's not backed by gold. Because gold's what gives it value, not the paper doesn't give it value. Putting a number, putting 100 on it doesn't give you value. So if you understand that, you're way ahead of the game. So you just keep collecting gold and silver. I don't like the term stacking. I think that sounds like an idiot term. I don't stack baseball and football cards. I collect them. I collect gold and silver. So you just keep going with it. And That's really the key. That's how you win the game. That's the key. As I stated in my game video, the game is to get out of the dollar and into the gold. That's the game, to be Rumpelstiltskin and change dollars into gold. The end product is the gold. That's what you want to be in. That's how you survive. That will go up many times in value while everything else goes down, because everything else is tied to dollars and is not at a realistic price. And as the dollars go down, there's too many people that don't know what's happening, Warren Buffett, that will start selling stocks and money. They'll sell stocks to get into money. They'll sell real estate trusts to get into money. And the money in the bank, they'll start realizing is worth less and less. And like I just said with my apartment, the email said people that have been, missed their things 3 times will have to move. So they're obviously not getting paid, the apartment complex. And I wonder why they like me so much, because I pay them every month. And so that's the key to it. So I'll probably be here alone. Now I understand why the people above me got evicted, because they probably lost your job and couldn't afford it. So that's where Social Security helps me. That's rent, and the rest. And then I still have my gold that I haven't even started touching yet, because there's no need to, or my Montana card if I need to sell it. I did find my Brady card yesterday. It was a PSA 8, and it was going for $22,000. The PSA 10 card that was not a refractor, this is a refractor. So this card that's not a refractor was like $7,500, PSA 10. This being a refractor, PSA 8 is $22,000. This card should be gem mint. Took it out of the pack, put it in here. I don't see what's wrong with it. And a $22,000 PSA. Now, to put that in perspective, a PSA 8 of this is like $1,000. The PSA 10 is $100,000. So if a PSA 8 of this is $22,000, God only knows what the PSA 10 in this is going to go for. So I don't even know what to put it out at. First, I got to get it graded. And then I'll see what I can, I might put it out at $500,000 and say, or best offer. I mean, that's how you do it. You don't run an auction. Once you get to these high prices, you can't really run an auction. You just run it for it's best price, right? What am I going to start it at? 50,000? Obviously, if an 8's 22,000, I got to start at least at 22,000. Anyway, we'll see what happens, but it's nice having the card. And that comes back to my skill set of spotting it. I think it cost me $150 at the most. And seeing it was Brady, seeing it was a rookie card, I went to Bowman Chrome instead of Bowman. And then seeing that it was a refractor, I jumped on it. That's what I was looking for. And it looks perfectly centered and no dings, and it's sharp corners, and it's Tom Brady. So it was like perfect. But that's what you look for, is opportunities. Very limited, high demand in Brady. He's won 27 Super Bowls, so it's not like anything. He doesn't seem to be doing steroids. He's too skinny for that. Now he owns the Raiders from Al Davis, so part owner. So it's all win-win, just like Montana and the Rice rookie cards I got. Anyway, so I did notice that. So why do you want to get out of stocks? Is because the companies are going to lay off. Obviously, people can't afford rent here. Well, then trickle it down. People are losing their jobs, can't afford it. As people lose their jobs, the companies then go out of business because there's less buyers, right? So if I go to Meijer's or Target to buy, there's less of me, and I can't afford the higher prices, so I'm buying the cheaper goods, or I'm not shopping as much. Again, this is where gold and silver are going to help us a lot, because they will hold their value. And then As people get laid off, they buy less. The stores then have to start laying off because people are buying less. Their fixed costs are still there, rent, utilities. You got a big store at Target, let's say, or Walmart. Let's say you say Walmart. Well, they're paying so much rent and utilities, and then they got to pay their people. And so all this is already factored in. So the break even is, I don't know, let's say $10 million a month in revenue they need to cover their costs of the fixed, of the building, the rent, the property taxes, and the lights and everything else. And if there's less shoppers, they can't make there, so they got to cut something to afford to be profitable, because that's why they're in business. That's what separates us from the communists. We take risk, we have stores, and then we got to make profit on it. So this is the point. So that's what we're trying to do with that. And so we realize this. So that's why the stocks are going to dump. There's less buyers, and you got to lower your price. So are you even going to make revenue? Are you going to make profit? As you start making less and less, you lay off more people, and they then can't shop and buy. And that's why you got to be careful with who's going to buy a car now, right? So you got to dump GM and Ford. You got the higher interest rates because of the inflation. You need high interest rates. Well, they think they do. You really don't, but they think that'll slow down the economy and lower the prices, but that has nothing to do with inflation. But I think what the key of it is if I loan you 10 grand and there's inflation, I want to get paid back in inflated dollars, 13,000. Pays me 10,000 plus, I get a little for myself. So you need that. That's why you have higher interest rates. That's the only reason. And because why would I loan you 10 grand and I get paid back 8 grand in money? So like I said, the best thing you can do now is be in debt. Yes, the interest rates will go up, but you're going to be paying in inflated dollars. So there's a trade-off there. Well, I'm going to pay them the dollars worth half of what I borrowed. So I borrowed 10. Now the dollar's not worth anything. So if I give them back $10,000, it's not worth it. It won't even fill up my grocery cart. That's the $20 thing. So that $20 in the 80s that filled your cart is now $20 puts 5 items in your cart. 20 has no value. So if I took a loan from you and I'm giving you back in $20, it's worthless. So that is the good part about in inflation to have debt. Mortgages, great. You're paying the guy, you borrowed 300 grand, 3 grand a month, and you're paying them back in monopoly money. So it's really good. Especially if it's a fixed rate mortgage, then they can't raise your rates, and you're paying them back in monopoly money. So you're loving it. They're not, because they're not getting paid back enough, because they're too stupid to understand inflation is the value of the dollar is dropping. What else can we talk? Again, the tariffs are just, they're extra. They're like surcharges, right? You buy a football ticket, right? And it costs you $100, and then there's this surcharge for Ticketmaster of $10. That's what a tariff is. It's the surcharge. So let's talk Canada. They're sending us lumber, so they're going to sell it to us, and they're going to have to pay a surcharge. We buy it. We don't pay the surcharge. The surcharge is, if you want to sell lumber in the U.S., it's $500 plus 10%. So it'll be $550 for you to sell your lumber here. So it might cost us more unless we buy it from Sweden and Norway and Finland, where there is no tariffs. If theirs is 500, then it's 500 no tariffs versus 500 with tariffs. However, now here's where it gets really bad is Canada, Mexico, and China are now tariffing us. It's not what you want. You want free trade, because you don't want this extra cost involved in that you pay in the tariff. So if I buy New Balance tennis shoes because they're wide and I need wide because I have wide feet, and I do that, then that's the key is I'll pay $50 for the shoe, but if you're going to drive the price to 80, I probably won't buy it. Or instead of buying two, I'll buy one, or I'll wear them a little bit worn because I can't afford a new pair, or something like that. And that's what the problem is when you raise prices. Like I said, if the guy makes the ribs $45, he'll shut down. He's already shut down 2 stores. I would assume that's what he did at the other 2 stores, was raise his price. Anybody said, fuck off. So that's the key. Tariffs are just an extra cost to all. Now it's to all parties. It'll cost them more to. They'll have to pay 500 plus a 20% to bring it in, and then if we ship to them, it's going to cost us 500 plus 20%. It's lose-lose to everybody because the market is set. This is what I'm going to pay. This is what I'm going to sell it for. All of a sudden, you raise the price. You don't have a market there. That's the key is, maybe some of the market goes up, but most of your market's gone. And they'll just look for other substitute goods. Profit. The big thing here now is to buy a Canadian. Most American products are being pulled from the shelves now. Yeah, but what happens is that was competition, right? So you had Canadian and U.S., probably of, from Scotland and England and France and Germany and China and whoever else makes products. It's called competition. It keeps the price down. So now you're buying Canadian thinking I'm a good old Canadian. Now I want you to get me a price on some of these things you're buying. And I guarantee you the price goes up because you've killed competition. Now it's just Canada doing it. Now there'll be competition between Canada and Canada. But if the U.S. was selling tennis shoes for 50 and Molson Canadian was selling it at 50, and now you've taken well, let's just say, okay, Budweiser versus Molson Canadian. So there were $20. Well, I know it's price fixed in Canada. It's a stupid example, but let's just say tennis shoes. So you're buying some tennis shoes. You're buying, what was I calling? Adidas. So you're buying Adidas. U.S. Adidas, $50. So Canada's price is $50. Now you're not buying the U.S. Adidas anymore because of the tariffs. But now the price of the Canadian Adidas loses the competition, goes up to $60. You've killed the competition, which means Canada now goes, oh, I can raise my prices. And who does it hurt? It hurts you because you want to buy the tennis shoes that you bought at $50 now cost you $60. Now you won't care with gold. You don't give a fuck. You're like, oh, I don't care. I got gold. But to the 90% of the population, that extra $10 is meaningful. And it's going to cost, as people won't buy it, it's going to cost jobs because the gym shoe store now can't make as much profit because they've raised their prices. So people won't buy their shoes or they'll go without or whatever. That's what happens in the economy. That's why you must have competition to keep the prices down. And as soon as you remove the competition, your price doesn't stay at 50, it goes to 60. My price doesn't stay at 50. Like for steel, right? We get steel, let's say from Japan, and it's $100. But if you sanction it or they get off, the U.S. doesn't leave it at 100. They go up to 150. So again, now, if they can go to 150, again, we're the market. We determine if you can raise our prices. You can try to raise the prices, but if we say fuck off, you got to fuck off. When I go to the grocery store, all I see is Coca-Cola, buy one, get one free, or buy one, get one half off, because they can't sell them because the market says, no, you're too expensive. So where you think you can raise prices it's all up to the market. If the market says, I'm not paying $5 for 2-liter Coke, you can't charge it. And if you raise it and Pepsi doesn't, nobody will buy a Coke. They'll all buy Pepsi, or they'll buy 7-Up or Dr. Pepper. There's too much competition. So that's why you can't just raise prices. So we're the key. When you buy domestic, you don't pay the tariff tax. Yeah, I understand that. But then the Canadian goods will increase their price to the tariff amount. That's what you got to be careful of. They're not going to keep the price. If the price is 50 and now there's the tariff, so you're going to buy Canadian, you're going to find that it's not going to stay at 50, it'll go to 60. That's my point here. So you think the price is going up, it only will go up if the market says, I'll pay more. And if the market says, no, I'm not going to pay more, it doesn't go up because you're in business to sell. I'm in business to sell this. But if I charge too much and I can't sell it, I got to go out of business. So I got to lower my price so people buy it. But as you got inflation and people can't afford to pay rent, people can't afford a lot of stuff, and the food's gone up, I can't afford this. I can't sell it at this price. I either lower the price, but I got to have a high enough price to make profit on it and make 20%, maybe 10%. But if I'm breaking even, if it costs me 50 and I can only sell it for 50, I got to get out of business because I'm in business to break even or lose money. And this is what you're going to see with the car companies. They'll all be going out of business because who the fuck's got $40,000 for a Ford Mustang or whatever the hell they make? I don't know if they killed their electric cars because they're not selling any electric cars. What a idiot move that is to go electric. I think that's a Biden move. Well, it's a George Soros move. We know Biden didn't know what day it was. You can't even get U.S. whiskey here anymore. Can you get Dewar's? Can you get, French champagne? Can you get Heineken? Can you get other countries' alcohol? And it's just U.S. that you can't get. I mean, I'm fine getting Canadian Club. Can I still get Canadian Club here? I assume so. And how long are these tariffs? What is the point of these tariffs? I'm still trying to figure that out. What is the point? To get rid of income tax? You're just going to get the tax. Is it, I guess, to pay off the debt? You're trying to use tariffs to pay off the debt, which won't work. You're trying to use tariffs to get rid of income tax so people have more money and they'll spend it and they'll boost the economy. So if I don't tax you at all, the economy grows. But I still got to pay Social Security and Medicare and for the defense, and I still got to pay for, I got to pay for I got to pay for the debt, right? $1 trillion, it's more than $1 trillion, it's like $1.5 trillion a year. And I can't leave interest rates low because of the inflation. Even though I can lie about the inflation, it's only 2% or 3%. It hurts me because Social Security gets raised by inflation. So if you really had 50% inflation, I should be making 50% more in my Social Security. Oh no, it's 2%. So you get a 2% raise in Social Security. What are you fucking kidding me? That's not what it is. It's not 2%. You fucked up. The whole concept of Social Security is so stupid. Why am I paying for somebody else? Who came up with this brilliant idea? Oh yeah, Keynes and FDR. Yeah, I forgot the two idiots. It's based on me taking 7.65% of my paycheck and putting it into Social Security. So therefore, why isn't it in my name? If it's my paycheck, why isn't it in my name? And if you didn't take it out, I probably could retire much easier because I'd have an extra 15% a year, and I work 40, let's say I work 40 years. That's 7.65% in the company match I would be able to keep. So I wouldn't even need Social Security if you let me just keep my fucking money. So the idea of this is just showed you how stupid government is. And that's what they do. They just do stupid things. And everybody's like, oh, great, I get money. Yeah, yeah. You get inflated bullshit dollars that it's broke anyway. So anyway, what was Trump's record like trying to balance the budget his first term? Profit, nobody can balance the budget between the debt and the military and the Social Security and the Medicare. You can never balance the budget. There's too much money that you have to spend in that. That's where the T-bills come in. So the way they balance the budget, what's the revenue? Taxes. What's the expense? What I just told you, the tariffs or the Social Security, Medicare, the pension, the government pensions, the military, and the debt. And you owe more than you're getting in. How do you balance the budget? Is by T-bills. The T-bills that you sell to China and Japan and Russia and Germany, that's where you get your other revenue in to cover all these expenses. And yet, what did you hear from Biden? Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to add that. That's another $5 trillion. That's why I got into gold in the first place was Biden saying, I'm going to spend $5 trillion on this and $3 trillion on that. And I go, you can't just spend money. That devalues the money. So I didn't really pay that much attention to it as I would have now. Had I taken the DeLorean back to 1971, I would be at $35 an ounce buying fucking as much gold as I could carry. And then I'd zoom to today and gold's $3,000 and I bought it for $35. Because knowing you're not on the gold standard, basically, and you're just printing money, basically the money is worthless. So anyway, I can tell I'm teaching a lot of people because I'm hearing people say that. And I'm so proud of myself. The alligator's learning. Douglas McGregor's learning. He says, well, the money's been worthless since 71. And I go, where'd you get that from there? I must be shared a lot because I don't get a million viewers, but a lot of my concepts are finally hitting the market. People are going, yeah, the professor is right. So Trump's record was zero. They're all zero. They can't balance the budget with taxes. That's why he's trying to get out of income tax into the tariffs. I think Trump feels he can get more money in on tariffs than he did on income tax, because more people are working for the government, and then you have, and I don't know if they pay income tax, government workers. I assume they do. And then you have, you got to pay their pensions. So more expense. Government's expanding, more expense. We got to pay your pension. You know, what did Musk say? Oh, we're going to buy out the 20% of the government workers. We want to buy them out. Well, where are you going to get the money from? Yeah, we'll print it. Anyway, I'd be asking for gold for that. But that's why it's just the only reason I work is to buy more gold and silver. That's it. I'm not looking for a career. I have a career right here. This is the key critical thing. And as much money as you can get your hands on and buy gold and silver with, you're fine. You've won the game. We're just waiting for the comex to blow up, as it will, and then the prices to go, here's where the real price is. So we're just waiting for this to go up. $30 silver, this is about $700-800, $1,000 for silver. Because you'll have to get out of the dollar because it's worthless. And the only out is gold and silver. And that's what'll happen. So that's what it is. It's that's where we're at. So the tariffs are just, I think, like he says, he wants to get out of the IRS and he wants to kill a lot of debt that you owe to the IRS. I don't owe anything. I owe credit cards, but I think there's relief on that, but it doesn't matter when the dollar goes out. Sorry, the dollar's worthless. I can't pay you back on the credit card. Now, will the banks, they'll go, oh, well, here's USD number 2. So your $10,000 balance is now 2,500 or something, whatever. So here's an ounce of gold, which will buy me a hell of a lot of whatever the new US dollar two is, and I'll pay off my credit cards much easier with that. The ironic part is the credit cards have gone up because I buy gold. It's a little bit with the Italy trip. It's a little bit when I moved back from Alabama and I had to stay at a hotel for a month. That was like $3,000. And it's stuff like that where that's mostly probably 75% gold on my credit cards, which is fine. I'd rather have the gold. The gold back then was 1,800 an ounce, is now 3,000 an ounce. So you can see I've made the money. And as far as I'm concerned, I just make small payments on it. I don't really care. Anyway, what else? What else can we say? What else? Any questions you want to answer, or do I kind of cover it because I cover so much? But yeah, no government can balance their budget because a lot of them now are Keynesian and they use pensions. Where do they get the money? Where do they get the money for government spend? I mean, they can't. The thing is, they can't raise taxes enough, and then it's an aging population because we all came from after World War II, right? I'm born in the late 50s, early 60s. A lot of people were born in the mid 50s to the mid 60s. We're all retiring, well, trying to retire. So you're taking us out of the system of paying income tax, and you're getting a little bit of sales tax. And that's really where the problem is. But you still have to pay our Social Security. So this is instead of just letting us handle our own Social Security. But that's what every country is running into. And because they've elected to use toilet paper instead of gold, bad currency, they're all fucked up. They want to have these wars, the war will get you out of a recession. That was the stupidest thing I've ever heard by that CIA agent. How the fuck is a war getting you out of? Well, because the defense contractors will have to hire people. Really? They don't have people working for them now? And then they pay taxes. Really? Yeah. How much tax are you going to get from them? And then we get the governments of the other countries to buy. They're all broke. Yeah. So I'm not quite sure a war gets you out of a recession, buddy. Go learn economics because you're fucking clueless. This is our problem with our CIA. We'll just have a regime change. That'll solve all the problems. No, because the money's still worthless. 1 o'clock, I got a 4:30 haircut, which I gotta. She wants cash. I love this. She doesn't want to let me use my debit or credit card because of the 3% fee on a $25 haircut, which means it's 60 cents. So she's worried about 60 cents for my haircut and fees to the debit or credit card. So I'm going to run to my bank and withdraw $30. I have the money for poker in my safe, but I don't want to break 100 to go to because I need it for tomorrow. It'll be fun. I haven't played poker in a long time. I haven't had the reason. I bet football, but there's no reason to play poker because I just try to win. So I win 100, 200, 500. But I'd rather put the money in the gold and silver. It's a no-brainer. I can't lose there, but I could lose. I could have aces and some guy flops a set of sevens on me and I'm fucked. So I'd rather just buy gold and silver and have no risk in the portfolio. Hey, you should do live feed tomorrow from the casino. Interesting thought. Well, I could do it on my phone, I guess. So I do it at the poker table, and I could be like, what was that guy? Vince Van Patten. I could be Vince Van Patten with some hot girl, and we could analyze the poker around the table. Johnny's got pocket tens. Oh, he four-betted. I don't know that I mean, for just me to go with my laptop and where am I going to set it up in the poker room and do a class? Maybe I could do a little video, a small 2-minute video from the poker room. Normally, I just take pictures of the poker room. So I'll show Dari I'm there, and here's my chip stack. But usually, hands in play, you can't. I can't do video while the hand's going, or I doubt I can take pictures while the hand's going. I can take pictures when we're waiting for the deal, but not for when the hand's going. But I probably could sit at a vacant blackjack table and possibly do it, but I wouldn't try to do anything more than 10 minutes. I think they'd have a problem with that. Not to play. They want me gambling. So maybe with the phone, I'll do a quickie. But I haven't played in a while. And again, it's whatever I end up with. So I start with 3. If I get to 100, then I buy, 3 ounces of silver. If I get to 500, I buy, 15 ounces of silver. So whatever I end up with is how much silver I buy. We'll see. So hopefully I get hot. But I'm very good at, if I just see crap cards, I don't just sit there for 3 hours with crap cards until I lose my 300. If I'm getting 2.7 and 2.9 and 3.10 and da-da-da-da-da, I get up and leave. And I give it about a half hour, 45 minutes, and I'll just say, I'm not lucky. I'm not getting cards. Goodbye. If I look and I'm getting aces and ace kings, I've had times where the first 10 hands, I won all 10. I was getting aces and kings every hand. People wouldn't even go in. I would just keep betting, and they'd fold. And I got aces. I got to bet because I bet every hand the same as I should bet it. And aces, 50, fold. Kings, 50, fold. And, I was getting the cards nobody else. Then I got days I get 2.7, 2.8, 3.9. And I just fold. And I was in Caesars, and I'm playing, and I'm getting crap. I'm getting 2.7, 2.9, 3.8. And they're like a half hour, and I don't know, I say something to somebody at the table, and he goes, well, I know how you play. I can tell how you play. And I'm like, really? You have no idea how I play. I fold shit. Oh, well, that really tells you how I play. What does that tell you? I'm intelligent and I don't want to play crap. Is that so? You've learned that? I mean, to make a statement of I've seen you for a half hour, I know how you play, is absolutely ridiculous. I did play. I did play next to a professional. This is the duck guy who, when he's with a pair of deuces, he quacks or ducks. I've seen him on TV. I'm sitting next to him. He didn't know how to play. He didn't understand protecting, right? So he would have a pair and some guy would have 3 spades and he wouldn't bet, or he'd bet $20 and he loses. The guy catches the flush and I go to him, why didn't you bet more? He said, should I bet more? I says, you let him catch. What are you doing? Like, he was actually listening to me, what he should do, and he started doing it. And I was shocked that this guy's a professional and he doesn't understand that. I guess I'm a better player than I think, teaching the professionals. But I was kind of neat at Caesars sitting next to this guy. If I saw like Negreanu or Phil Hellmuth at Bellagio, I would ignore him. I hate Phil Hellmuth. He's a bum. And Negreanu, I would say, I know I got your tell figured out for, years now. And he'd be interested. And I'd say, no, I'm not going to tell you. But I know what your tell is. His tell is he talks. When you get a talkative player, he's nervous. And it's sort of like the bluffer. So the bluffer makes a big bet when they're bluffing. And then when they get, pocket aces, I check. Well, you just told me what you got. You make a bet. You're bluffing. You don't make a bet. You've got a hand. With Negreanu, he talks because he has nothing. When he checks, he's got his hand. So the bet and the talk are the bluff, and when he's quiet and the bluffer doesn't bet, they've got the hand. That's his tell. Very simple, because he keeps yapping and yet because he's nervous because he's got shit and he's trying to find out information. Well, why, if you got a full house, do you really care about information? That's like the guy who watches the TV. I got a full house. I don't give a shit what you got. I got aces full, and what's on channel 7 right now. And so that and eating and drinking and talking are or not talking are all the same. The talkative guy is nervous. He's worried. Will I get it? And Negrano talks. Oh my God, he's terrible. So I'd tell him to go fuck off. If I was playing with him and he starts talking and asking me questions about the hand, what do you have? What did you have? Da, 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 da. I say, fuck off. I'm not telling you what I had. What are you kidding me? Oh, why, you're Daniel Negrano? I'm supposed to tell you, oh, I had king 5 in the hand. I had pocket kings. Like, of course I'll tell you, Daniel, because you're my buddy. I mean, it's ridiculous. He is a Canadian there, Prophet. Do you wear a disguise, dark glasses, a hat, or a fake beard? Absolutely not. I go in as the professor. So it's the actual play at the poker table. If I can, I don't know that they'll allow it. They usually don't. You can be on the phone when you're not in the hand, but if you're in the hand, because there could be things that you could see the other person's hand or something like that. They don't allow that. So I doubt they allow it now. So I don't. Now, if I'm not at the table, can I video it? I'm not sure. I wouldn't think so. And why would you want to see it anyway? So I don't know. I don't think so. But I can, when I'm not in the hand, talk, but that's it. But anyway, so poker will be, I haven't played in a while, but it's like riding a bike. You know what to do. So that's it. And you'll go from there. So that's with that. I got another 10 minutes, and then I'm going to return something, go to the bank, swim, so I can get to my haircut at 4, I think it's 4:45 today. I made it when I was still working, 29.18, 32.71 silver, 29.18 gold, which is good. It's gone up. So what caused it to go down at 5 is not selling, and now it's all the way back where it is. So it's crazy. Let's see. Uh, 4:45 today. So if I work backwards, it's close to the pool. So if I leave the pool by 4:30, I'm in the car by 4:30. I'll be there by 4:40. So how long do I need to get to the pool before? So I'm in the pool like 40 minutes, 10 minutes in the hot tub, 20 minutes on the bike, and I need the shower. So, so if I get there by 2:30, I'm fine. So I'm in good shape. 2:30, I'll be done by like a little after 4, which is perfect. Anyway. So what else? What else do we need? So we got sports. We got baseball coming up. If you want to bet it, see, I don't understand these people who bet like how many wins the team's going to have. How many wins will the Lions have next year? These are by far the stupidest bets, especially in football or baseball. Baseball is predicated on health. So like Verlander, is he going to play the whole year or not? Scherzer, the good pitchers. If they get injured, you're fucked if you bet the over. Football is the same thing. You're betting based on, well, what if Josh Allen gets hurt? Buffalo won't win any games. I'd rather just bet week by week when I know my lineup than how many wins they're going to have. That's a big sucker bet. That's a Madoff, and people will bet it because the odds. Oh, I can bet $20 and make 1,000. So that's all they see. Well, hopefully I'll get lucky and it'll happen. We don't want to get lucky. No, 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 no. We want to use our brains. We want to buy gold because it's been held down and the dollar's going out. We have A, B, C, D. You're printing the dollar, it's got no value. Gold's going to go up because of brics, and comex is keeping it down, and comex is going to blow up. So we understand why we're buying gold. We know it will go up. There's no problem with that. Hey, Alex, it's my birthday's tomorrow. I've been in college basketball live game bets, taking the good home teams when they get behind early, been paying out. Well, Houston isn't Houston the number one team, I think. Yeah, I mean, if you're watching the game, you get a better flow of the game. I would give you that. I can't name. I know Houston. I saw somebody on ESPN give the top four. It was like Auburn, Houston. I don't remember the other two. But thank you, Alex. Yeah, tomorrow I'm off to MGM to play poker. So I'll do a class early and then we're off. But thank you. Yeah, I mean, see, football, we got nailed. We know the players, the injuries, the teams, college and pro. In basketball, I don't. There's too many one and dones. Like, we know Mahomes is going to be on KC, right? We know, Josh Allen, Lamar. We know they're there. We know what to expect. College basketball with these one and dones, we don't even know who the player is and what we expect from them. Maybe now you have more information, and maybe that's how I would bet the tournament would be live. I would give you that, but I don't know. Is Auburn going to win? Is Houston going to win? What's the matchup? How's the guard play? Stuff like that. Who's the coach? So I would need to know that, and then you need the bracket. So maybe we'll look at a bracket when it comes out. Like UConn last night, they were a 4-point favorite, but were down by 4 early. So I bet UConn even for 200, and they won. I won. Is UConn any good this year? I thought a lot of their players didn't come back, but I don't know. I don't know much about that. I just know Georgia's good, and then apparently so is Alabama and Florida. They must think it's football because the SEC is ranked pretty high in basketball. These good home teams start off slow sometimes, get down early, and you get some really good line value on live bets. Yeah. I mean, I think Michigan State I'd keep an eye on. They just kind of blew out Wisconsin. They're playing well-coached team, a good defensive team. So I would keep an eye on them, that when they get down, that they're going to win the game. I wouldn't trust Wisconsin or Michigan or any of those teams. UConn is good, not as good as the last 2 years. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably better than just looking at the good teams, Houston, Auburn at home. But if Auburn's playing Georgia or Florida, you got to be careful because those are pretty good teams, apparently, also. Although I couldn't name a player at all, but I just see they're in the top. The top 8 has Florida, Georgia, Auburn. Surprisingly, no Kentucky or Tennessee or my Vanderbilt team. Houston is number 4. Who's number 1? Auburn's number 1. Who's the top 4? Auburn, Oklahoma, are they there, or Tennessee, or Vegas? Are they back in it? Auburn's 1, Houston's 4, Florida. Oh, Florida's in there. I thought they were second 4. And our third team is Louisville, Kentucky. It ain't Michigan, that's for sure. Michigan State might be up there, I think. Anyway, I mean, that's a good idea. I think it's hard to bet it early. Well, again, now we're getting near backs against the wall. These teams are in the conference. It's going to be a hell of a conference, SEC, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, and you got the SEC, a playoff tournament. So that's another thing. But yeah, you look for the stars, you look for the variables, who's injured, things like that. In the NBA, Houston, half their team's out, isn't it? That one guard got hurt, and what is it? Anthony Davis, who used to play at USC football, is now playing basketball. He's hurt, and the other, so Houston's hurt, beat, probably doesn't give a shit. You can probably bet against Houston or Dallas. Dallas, is it? You can probably bet against Dallas every game in the NBA now because they don't give a shit. They're all hurt, so they're playing with a bunch of backups. You look for hot teams. You're looking for what's the Tom Brady in the NBA now? Is it Steph Curry? Is it LeBron still the guy? Who is the Tom Brady? And that's who you bet on. And who is the Bill Brady? That's who you bet against. Auburn, Duke, Houston, Tennessee, Florida, top 5. Georgia's in there too. Michigan State's in there. So you got half the SEC in there. Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia. Is Duke that good? And then Houston, I think, is that good. So are you going to bet Duke against North Carolina at the end here and lay 15 points? Or are you going to watch it live and hope North Carolina comes on and then bet Duke -5 live? Georgia's not ranked. I thought Georgia was. Maybe not. Because I thought somebody gave his top 4 and he had Auburn in there. And then in his next 4, he had Florida, and I thought he had Georgia for the tournament. I don't know. But be careful who you're listening to. Most of these people are idiots, and you don't want to bet a game because Joe Idiot told you to bet it, and then you're in trouble. But that's who you want. You want to, focus on that. Houston, I think, would be a live dog. Be careful laying 20 points in the tournament, but I don't know. Maybe that's a cheap lay. Again, I think you look at it like football. Who's got the defense? Who's the top 5 defenses? You don't want to fuck with them. Just like football, you don't want to bet against top defenses. And then who's the Joe Montana, the Brady, the Mahomes, and who's the home run hitter, and find him and go to that team. It works in every sport. The Mahomes and the defense work in baseball, the pitcher and the defense, in basketball, the shooter and the defense. It always works in every sport. Even in hockey, it's the goaltender, right? It's give me Phil Esposito, Bobby Orr, and a Ken Dryden. That's why Montreal used to win. They had Ken Dryden and Cournoyer and Beliveau. They had, the only time Boston won was when they beat St. Louis, and then I think they beat Chicago or the New York Rangers is when Montreal didn't make it. Otherwise, the defense is too strong. And then Philly came in with the Broad Street Bullies, and they just beat you up. So I don't know if they had defense or not. They had Bobby Clark was Joe Montana, and then the goalie was great. I can't think of. But not Ron Hextall. It was a real Bernie Perrant. They had Bernie Perrant and Bobby Clark, and everybody else fought, but you had Joe Montana and you had the defense. So you're always looking for those. It's the same recipe for everything. That was probably his person. Yeah, I mean, it was his own picks, but I'm surprised Georgia is maybe that's what it is. Maybe Georgia's playing well, so he likes Georgia now because maybe they got an injured guy back. And that's what you got to dig into. Was I injured and now get better? I did that. I locked a bowl game, Middle Tennessee State. The quarterback was hurt all year. It was the coach's son. And he came back for the bowl game. And I knew he was a very good quarterback and they would score a lot of points. The over-under was like 50 because they were using the backup quarterback's points. And the starter was back, and I locked the game over 50 and they scored like 75 points in the game. Watch out for the injuries where the guy comes back for the playoffs. Those are very easy bets because remember, Vegas makes their lines on the trends based on what's happening. They're not digging into the injuries. That's where we got them with football a couple years ago with Tyler Van Dyke. Miami was scoring 45 a game, and the over-unders were 48. And Miami was doing it by themselves, and then we got Cam Rising, and Utah was getting – it was the same thing. Unfortunately, they both got hurt. Cam Rising should be the number one pick in this draft, not Ward. But how can you draft Cam Rising? How can you draft Van Dyke? He's got the hurt knee. He would have been a high pick. So this is where the injuries come into play, unfortunately. I love tourney time. I'll take off the first 2 days of the tournament, watch all 16 games each day, then all 8 games Saturday and Sunday. Best 4 days in sports. You mean that's better than the Final Four? It's better than the best day used to be New Year's Day when you'd have the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Orange Bowl back to back to back. That was the best day in sports for a long time until they fucked it up. Doing the March Madness Bracket Buster contest is fun. Okay, enjoy, make some money. Yes, better than all. The upsets and close games and having so many games is great. Yeah, I guess. I can see planting yourself at the bar and eating lunch dinner there. That sounds good. That's what, next week? So this week's the conference championship, and then next week it starts, I assume, if it's March Madness. I do miss the old New Year's Day bowl games, though. Well, you'd have Alabama, Notre Dame, and you'd have USC, Ohio State, and then you'd have Nebraska and Florida State or something in the Orange Bowl at night. And there were just beautiful games. That was the biggest bet I ever won when I was a kid. It was a $2,100 bet in 1977. I had Michigan, Auburn in a teaser, and then I had the Florida State Oklahoma game, and Florida State was getting 7. I had Florida State in 13, and Michigan as a dog, I think against Bojang or somebody, and Michigan loses 7-3, and then Florida State's winning 17-10 with like a minute left. I'm getting 13. I've won by 2,500 or 2,100, and then Oklahoma scores late to win 18-17, and I'm getting 13. That was I remember playing poker while that was going on. I could barely play because I was watching the game. And he's not a friend, one of the guys playing says, they said, well, Robin's got a bet on the game. He didn't believe me. I said, well, I got $2,100 bet on this. He said, no. So I showed him my ticket. And he saw, and he says, oh my God. And I'm winning it, right? So people will bet a lot and lose. I bet a lot and win. So I loved it. And the guy just freaked the guy out. Like, how can you bet that much? And then and you win it? I do miss the old New Year's Day. Yep. Or Texas versus Georgia in the Cotton Bowl. Yeah, well, all that. Miami of Florida and Florida State with Bobby Bowden. Florida would sneak in every once in a while, and always Oklahoma, Nebraska, Michigan, Ohio State, and USC. Once in a while, Washington or UCLA snuck in. And then, so you'd have everything. And they were all, because you didn't have the interconference that you have now. So you had no idea how Oklahoma was going to play Miami or Florida. And then the key was it was always at Miami, right? So Miami had a home field advantage against Nebraska in the 84 game. They're getting 14 points. I had Miami in 20 points with that offense and that defense. I wasn't scared of Nebraska because I had Miami at home, and I knew that the Heat would help me. And they should have won, and they did win the game. I mean, that was the amazing part. But that was a big bet that I had that was just pure logic. fuck, give me that defense and give me that offense and Bernie Kosar and Snellenberger against. I knew Nebraska had a good offense, but I knew they'd have problems with Kosar, and they did. And Miami's defense is good enough. So anyway, it was, and the points are so big. Why? How could Nebraska go into Miami and be 14-point favorites? Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, I could see them being maybe 7 or 6 at the most, maybe 3 or 4. I agree Nebraska should have been favored, but you throw 14 at me and I get 20. Are you kidding me? Thank you very much. But that's what I do so well is I find the real bad lines. You fucked this line up. I remember in Vegas, I was with Kerman a few years ago, and it was the year that Ohio State had a new coach. So this was like 2018, 2019. And it was in August, so they put the lines up of key games. So there was the Texas-Oklahoma game I could have bet, even though it wasn't until October, and this was November. And they had Michigan a 3-point favorite over Ohio State. Now, Ohio State had won like 19 out of 20. It was an automatic Ohio State's going to win this game. And I go to the sports book guy who makes the lines and says, "You got the wrong line here. Ohio State should be favored in this game." And he kind of, so you bet $1 million on it, right? I go, well, I don't have $1 million to bet on it, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. And so I took Ohio State plus. I couldn't tease it, so I just took Ohio State +3, a nice bet. And then the week of the game, Ohio State's a 10-point favorite. And I'm like, yeah, I was really wrong, wasn't I? And so Ohio State wins by 20, and I'm getting 3.5. And I love that. And the guy, I made sure I went back to that counter to cash that ticket. College must get better at seeding the playoffs. Having Boise getting a bye was crazy. Well, the whole thing was terrible. Ohio State, Penn, and then they're playing at Ohio State, and they're playing at Penn State. Yeah, I agree. And Arizona State, why are they getting a bye in Boise? I mean, the whole thing the buys made no sense. I think they got to have 16 teams and everybody plays, and it's got to rotate. One plays 8, not one plays 2. Why was Ohio State playing Oregon the second week? That's your final game. You don't want either of those guys going out week 2. You want them playing in the final. Your final sucked. Ohio State, Notre Dame. Ohio State didn't deserve to be there. Notre Dame lost to my Northern Illinois team, so I'm not quite sure they beat anybody to be there. So that's the problem with the playoff. I thought it was ridiculous. And that's what you got. So I think it was ridiculous. I don't think Ohio State should even have been in the playoffs, nor Penn State. They didn't beat anybody. Ohio State lost to Michigan. I think they should have got penalized for that. You can't. Oh, now you're in the playoff. You lost to a 5-5 Michigan team who sucked with a high school quarterback, and you lost to him 13-10. Where was all the passes to the guy that they did in these other games? They put up 40 on Tennessee. You put up 10 on Michigan. You put up 40 on Tennessee. You then light up Oregon, and then you light up Notre Dame, but you'll put up 10 against Michigan. That was ridiculous. They should never have been in the playoff. Ohio State not losing to Michigan, it's got to knock you out. So it was very weak. Where was Miami of Florida? Why weren't they? They lost to Syracuse. Well, that's better than losing to Michigan. At least Syracuse had a real team. So I don't know. I thought it was ridiculous, the whole playoffs thing. But you got to reseed. The NFL reseeds. If you get upsets, one plays the lowest seed. It doesn't necessarily play that. So I don't get it. It actually sucked. And I had no idea how to bet it because I didn't see the same team I saw all year, Ohio State, Penn State. That wasn't the team we got. SMU, we did get the over there. Arizona State looked like Arizona State. Texas kind of looked like Texas. Notre Dame, they scored more. Where did that come from? But Penn State had no business being in there. Neither did Ohio State. So Ohio State wins. They shouldn't have been in the playoff. And then you had Alabama, who probably shouldn't have been in this year, but I think Ole Miss should have been in. But the schedule was so hard playing Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee. Of course, somebody's going to lose those games. So how does Ole Miss, they lost to Georgia, but Ohio State loses to Michigan? I don't know. It's too much. It's really stupid. So it was very hard to bet it. Unlike the bowl games where we could just look at matchups, and then the whole college thing is really getting difficult. Who's playing and who's not? Because once the guy's out, now you're betting on backups. So there was a few games that we could lock that we felt comfortable with. Army, Navy, my Texas State team, North Texas. I think those were good over bets. But that's who I like. Like they're saying there's no good quarterbacks in the draft. And they're looking at Cam Ward and Prime Jr. They're not looking at Morris from North Texas and my guy from Texas State. I can't think of his name right now. Those guys are much better than Cam Ward and Prime Jr. I mean, if this was the old Steelers and Cowboys of the 70s, they'd be drafting these guys. Where do you think Bradshaw was? Lou Tech and Jefferson Street Joe Gilliam was, he was a small black college, just like Joe Green was North Texas State. So, I mean, that's the point. These two quarterbacks are better than what you have now. They could start in the NFL right now. But he's from North Tech. We can only draft Alabama and Ohio State quarterbacks. So there's a few good ones. The Syracuse quarterback I don't like. He had a good year. He sucked at Ohio State. Will Howard might be okay. He did win the title. He did play at Ohio. He had some bad games against Michigan and Penn State. I'm not crazy about him, but you could draft him as a backup, I think. Jackson Dart. What do you want to do with him? Is he any good? It's really hard to know if that guy's any good. Ole Miss would score 60 one game, and then they'd get in against Georgia and get killed. So I don't know. I do like their defensive line, this Ole Miss and Tennessee. This Pierce guy, he's the superstar. I don't know what the problem is. This guy should be the first defensive lineman taken. Because I watched Tennessee and Ole Miss. They just killed you. I mean, you couldn't. They had great defenses. I don't know what he did against Ohio State. It was probably more running at them, but they didn't do anything. Yeah, Alex, that whole thing is crazy. Anyway, I think I got to get going. I got to hit the bank and the pool and then get my hair cut. All right. So have a good day. Let's take our last look at gold. I'm so happy I heard from Daria. You have no idea. $29.19. So we're hanging in there with gold. But that's where we were yesterday. We're $29.20. And then it gets this little shot down to 29 and then back to $29.20. That's all day. This, again, you think 33 is the number and they'll just kill it back down. It's not going until they blow up COMEX. It'll get to 33, and then look at today. It's up 14 cents. Why? Why is silver up 14 cents? The demand is huge. The supply is limited. This should be up $5 today, 14 cents. Anyway, so keep that in mind. That's why we buy gold. That's the topic today, is because we have to get out of the dollar, and we must get into a safe lifeboat, and B, the safe lifeboat's going up in value. So be careful with your Bitcoin. Be careful with your 401k. They're all going down. They have to, because the dollar's going down. They'll go down with it. People will sell their assets to get into gold and silver at the end of the day, because they need to eat and everything else.
So anyway, have a good day. Are you doing class? Yeah, I'll do it early. I'll do it early, like 10 o'clock, and then go eat lunch and then go play some poker. And then I'll probably go swim after that. So yeah, I assume I'll do that. And that's what's going on. So apparently a lot of people can't afford rent here because there's, fortunately me, I pay the full rent. I'm always on time. So people that there's apparently, if they're sending an email, people that aren't paying or have three strikes and they won't be able to renew. So they're bad risks. Even though I'm not working, I always pay my rent. And I remember looking at another apartment real quickly and they said, well, are you working? I said, I'm in between jobs. They said, well, do you have money in the bank? I said, no, my money's in gold. And they must have thought I was like some mafia guy. So they didn't even entertain, like, but I can pay you a full year up front with the gold and my money and everything. Like, what you're worried about if I'm a risk. If I pay you rent every day, I'm not doing anything illegal. The fact that I own gold is not, it just means I don't have money in the bank. Anyway, so we'll see what happens. But I'm hoping my rent doesn't go up too much. I don't think it will because if they're losing people who can't afford it, they can't raise the rent. Maybe I'll get lucky and they lower the rent. So anyway, have a good day. I'm so happy I heard from Daria. Not that I was worried. I was worried about Daria being depressed about needing the operation. She gets all caught up on the word operation. And I says, it's a simple thing. They'll just pull it, they'll suck it out or whatever they do. They'll do a little slit, suck it out, and it'll be done. It's nothing. It's not like a kidney transplant. I mean, it's just sucking the tooth out. And she was all nervous about it. Oh my God, I'm so nervous about the operation. Da 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 da. And now they said, don't worry, it's nothing. Then I feel much better. So that's where she's at. So um, I'm glad that she finally can relax now because she was stressed. I didn't hear from her for 4 days, and I felt bad. It's like, but I want to help you, but if you don't read my messages and talk to me, how can I help you? So that's where it came, really really strange. So that's why I took it. I was very happy. I heard from her Sunday, and I'm all nervous, and then today I finally, because I knew I'd hear from her tomorrow because it's my birthday. So I will send her pictures from the casino and that. So anyway, have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. And good luck. Buy your gold and silver. It's such a lock, and you know how I like locks. It's such a lock, but just beware of you Bitcoiners. Just be careful. It isn't anything. It's not real. You're owning digit. You're not owning anything. There's nothing. You're not owning the Brady card. You're owning the digital Brady card, which has no value because you don't have the card. So please be careful with that. Again, I'm not a Bitcoin or anti-Bitcoin or negative Bitcoin. I just see it for what it is. It's a Ponzi. And I'm telling you, if this was Madoff and Madoff's making all this money, I would be telling you it's a Ponzi because that's what it is. That's what Madoff was. All these people that lost in Madoff, I would have saved everybody. If I was doing this back then, I would have saved people millions of dollars. Because I would say, you can't never lose and you can't make money. Where else are you going to get 15%? It's bullshit. Get out of. I would have said the same thing. So I'm trying to save you in Bitcoin like I would have saved you in Madoff. Madoff is clearly a Ponzi scheme because you can't get that return on investment. You can't get 15% when the whole world's getting 5%. Doesn't work that way. That's why, and again, if these people, if you would have just bought gold and silver since 1971, you would have never gone broke in 1987 or 2000, the Y2K and the IT boom, and you never would have lost in 2008, and you won't lose in 2025. It's very simple. Buy fucking gold and you avoid all the chaos and all of the trouble. That's it. It's so simple. And I don't know why there's such pushback on it. It's people are just afraid. Well, like Daria, oh my God, I have an operation. I'm all scared. And today they told her, oh, it's just a minor operation. She hears the word operation without, I go there, I'm sure they're going to numb you. I'm sure it won't be that much. So now I said, now you can relax. And again, you got so worried over nothing. So anyway, have a good day. Off to the pool, off to get my hair cut. And I need quickly just to run to the bank, but that'll be 5 seconds. All right. Have a nice day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. All right. Take care, everybody.